Imagine a country where the line between peace and war is only a heartbeat away, where metro stations double as blast shelters, and where children grow up knowing that the neighbor's basement isn't just for bicycles. It might one day save their lives. This is Finland, a small nation perched on Europe's icy edge, staring straight into the eyes of its largest, most unpredictable neighbor. Here, survival isn't left to chance. It's written into the architecture, drilled into daily life, and reinforced by generations who remember what invasion feels like. Yet even in this fortress of preparation, unease lingers. Finland has built walls of concrete and an army of citizens, but missiles arc higher than any shelter, and submarines lurk in seas too shallow for Finland to patrol. The world calls it NATO's northern shield. But in truth, it's a shield with seams. Seams that might decide Europe's fate in a war no one wants. On a map, Finland looks quiet, a stretch of forests, lakes, and icy coasts at the edge of Europe. But its location is anything but calm. To the east, Finland shares a 1,340-kilometer border with Russia. Most of it runs through empty woods and swamps, but it ends only a few hours from St. Petersburg. To the north, the Arctic is melting, opening new sea routes and resources that both NATO and Russia want to control. To the south, the narrow Gulf of Finland forces every ship heading to St. Petersburg or Tallinn to pass close to Finnish shores. One mistake there could block trade for half of Europe. Finland doesn't just sit on the map, it sits on a fault line. It is both a shield for NATO and a target for Moscow. Geography alone makes the country too important to ignore and too exposed to ever feel safe. Finland's first line of defense isn't a wall or a missile system. It's its people. Every Finnish man is called up for military service at 18. They spend months in uniform learning how to handle weapons, survive in the cold, and move as part of an army. When their service ends, they return to normal life, but their training stays with them. Their uniforms are kept at home, ready to be used again at a moment's notice. This system creates one of the largest reserves in Europe. In a crisis, Finland can put about 280,000 trained soldiers into the field within days, and nearly 900,000 if the whole reserve is called up. That's almost 1 in 6 Finns ready to fight. But conscription isn't just about numbers, it's about culture. Military service is seen as a duty, even a rite of passage. It ties generations together. Grandfathers, fathers, and sons all share the same experience. And it sends a clear message. Defending the country is not the job of a small army, but of the whole nation. If Finland's people are the first shield, its bunkers are the second. No country in the world has built more shelters for its citizens. In Helsinki alone, there are enough underground spaces to protect everyone living in the capital, plus all the workers who come in each day. These aren't dusty, forgotten basements. They double as gyms, car parks, swimming pools, even ice rinks. At the push of a button, doors seal, air filters switch on, and the same spaces turn into safe havens built to survive bombs and gas attacks. In June 2024, Finland went even further. A new law now requires every new apartment block to include a hardened basement, strong enough to protect against explosions and chemical agents. For most renters, it just looks like another storage room. But in a crisis, it could be the difference between life and death. Finland has built one of the strongest artillery forces in Europe, but when it comes to defending its skies, the picture is more complicated. In 2023, Helsinki made a major decision. It would buy David's Sling, Israel's long-range missile defense system. This wasn't a small upgrade, it was a recognition that in modern war, survival may depend on knocking threats out of the sky before they ever reach Finnish soil. David's Sling is designed to intercept aircraft, drones, cruise missiles, and even some ballistic missiles. It uses powerful radars to track incoming targets and fire interceptor missiles at extreme range. Once fully operational, it will give Finland a shield few countries of its size can match. But here's the problem. The system is only starting to arrive. building up launch sites, connecting radars, and training operators takes years. Until the late 2020s, the shield will have holes in it. Finland has strong short and medium-range defenses, systems that can protect cities, bases, and troops, but they can't guarantee protection against waves of long-range or hypersonic missiles. Unlike some NATO members, Finland doesn't have the American THAAD or the most advanced Patriot PAC-3 batteries, which are proven against ballistic missile barrages. This means that for now, Finland is in a transition period. It has the plan, the contracts, and the funding, but not yet the full coverage. If a major war broke out tomorrow, the Air Force could fight back, but there would still be moments when the shield simply wasn't thick enough. In the skies, Finland is also living through a delicate handover. For decades, its backbone has been the FA-18 Hornet, bought in the 1990s and flown hard ever since. These jets are reliable, well understood, and fully integrated into NATO exercises. But their time is ending. The future is the F-35A stealth fighter. Finland has ordered 64 of them, a huge investment that will make the Finnish Air Force one of the most advanced in Europe. The first planes are arriving, and pilots are already training abroad. But full strength won't come overnight. Building squadrons, training crews, and integrating new weapons takes time. Experts say the fleet won't reach full operational capacity until around 2030. That leaves a gap in the mid-2020s. The Hornets are aging, and the F-35s aren't yet fully ready. If a large conflict erupted during this transition, Finland would have fewer planes to rely on than it ideally needs, an uncomfortable risk for a country sitting on NATO's most exposed frontier. On land and in the air, Finland is strong, but under the waves, the picture looks different. Unlike many coastal nations, Finland has no submarines. Its navy relies on surface ships, coastal missile batteries, and fast attack craft to defend the shallow, island-filled Baltic Sea. This strategy works well for denying enemy ships access, but it leaves a blind spot when it comes to stealthy operations underwater. That blind spot matters. The Baltic is laced with vital infrastructure, gas pipelines, electricity cables, and data links connecting Finland to the rest of Europe. These lines have already been attacked. In October 2023, the Baltic Connector gas pipeline between Finland and Estonia was damaged, taking over a year to repair. More cable incidents followed in 2024, raising fears about how exposed the seabed really is. Help is on the way. Finland is building 4 new Pohjanmaa-class corvettes, ships with advanced sensors and anti-submarine warfare gear. They will greatly improve protection of coastal waters and infrastructure. But delays mean the first won't enter service until late in the 2020s. Until then, Finland must rely on allies with submarines, patrol aircraft, and undersea drones to monitor the Baltic. It's a reminder that even a fortress on land can have weak foundations below the sea. Sitting at the mouth of the Gulf of Bothnia lies the Åland Islands, a cluster of rocky isles that seem small but hold outsized importance. They control sea lanes between Finland and Sweden, and in a Baltic crisis they could act as a shield or a gateway. The problem: Åland is demilitarized by treaty. Since the 1850s, Finland has agreed not to station troops or build fortifications there. The islands are neutralized, their defense left to diplomacy rather than firepower. In peacetime, that status is a symbol of stability. In wartime, it could be a dangerous loophole. If conflict broke out, Finland could only send forces in very limited emergency circumstances, and even then, it would risk political backlash. For NATO planners, Åland is a headache, too important to ignore, but legally tied down. In Helsinki, debates simmer about whether this arrangement is outdated. But until treaties change, Åland remains a soft spot in Finland's otherwise hardened shield. Modern Finland runs on cards and mobile apps. Cash is rare, and daily life depends on fast, invisible networks. That makes the financial system another front in national defense. A cyber attack, GPS outage, or power cut could freeze payments in an instant. To counter this, Finland and its Nordic neighbors are building an offline payments fallback. The idea is simple. Even if the internet or GPS fails, shops should still be able to accept card payments using local backups. The project is moving ahead, but full rollout won't be finished until 2026. Until then, weak points remain. The Bank of Finland has already warned households to keep a small stash of cash at home as part of their emergency kit, right alongside food, water, and batteries. It's a blunt reminder that in a crisis, even the most digital country needs old-fashioned paper money. Progress is clear, but resilience is still a work in progress. In Finland, even the skies are contested. For years, pilots and airlines have reported sudden blackouts in GPS signals along the eastern border and over the Baltic Sea. The source isn't hard to guess. Russian electronic warfare systems across the border have the range to jam navigation satellites, and they do it often enough to disrupt flights and shipping. For a modern society that relies on GPS for everything, planes, ships, farming equipment, even banking, this is a serious weakness. Finland has taken steps to adapt. Airports have brought back older radio-based navigation systems, so pilots can still land safely without satellite guidance. Civil aviation authorities run constant monitoring to spot interference early. These measures reduce the risk, but they don't erase it. In a large-scale conflict, GPS jamming and other electronic attacks could spread nationwide, hitting everything from emergency services to drones. Finland can defend against many threats, but electronic warfare remains one of the hardest to stop. In a major war, survival depends not just on soldiers, but on hospitals. Finland has built strong medical reserves, but even here, gaps remain. The country keeps compulsory stockpiles of medicines, vaccines, and protective gear. It also hosts part of the EU's RESI-EU emergency reserves, including chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear (CBRN) supplies. These are valuable assets proven during the COVID pandemic and later crises. But stockpiles are only half the picture. In 2024, a national review looked at hospital readiness. The results were respectable, but not perfect. On the World Health Organization's surge capacity checklist, Finland scored around 65%. That means hospitals can stretch in an emergency, but not to the maximum needed in a World War III scale disaster. Shortages of staff, intensive care beds, and logistics were highlighted as the main weak points. The government is responding with audits, new training, and reforms to stockpile rotation. Yet the challenge is structural. Finland has a small population and a limited healthcare workforce. In peacetime, the system works well. In mass casualty scenarios, it would be under heavy strain. The lesson is clear. Finland has the medicines, but ensuring enough doctors, nurses, and beds in a global crisis remains a work in progress. If Finland is famous for anything on the battlefield, it's artillery. The country already fields one of Europe's largest artillery forces, and it's getting even stronger. A key focus is modernizing its M270 multiple launch rocket systems. These are being upgraded to fire new types of ammunition, extended-range GMLRS rockets that can hit targets more than 150 kilometers away, and the Precision Strike Missile, PRSM, which can reach even further with pinpoint accuracy. This upgrade will give Finland the ability to strike deep behind enemy lines, targeting supply hubs, command posts, and concentrations of troops. In a conflict where Russia has vast numbers, long-range precision firepower is one way Finland can level the field. But here, too, timing matters. The systems are being modernized now, and the new munitions are still entering production. Finland's arsenal is growing, but not yet at the size or readiness level needed for a full-scale regional war. The direction is right, but the magazine isn't full. There is one line Finland has chosen not to cross: nuclear weapons. Unlike France or Britain, Finland has no independent nuclear arsenal, and it has made clear it doesn't plan to host American nuclear warheads on its soil. Instead, it relies on NATO's nuclear umbrella, the alliance-wide guarantee that an attack on one member could trigger a nuclear response from others. Politically, this makes sense. Most Finns accept that nuclear deterrence should remain in the hands of larger allies, while Finland focuses on strong conventional forces and total defense. But tactically, it means that if the worst came, Helsinki would depend on decisions made in Washington, London, or Paris. This isn't a weakness unique to Finland. Many NATO states make the same choice. Still, it highlights the limits of even the most prepared nation. Finland can mobilize nearly 1 million soldiers, but it cannot control the ultimate deterrent on its own. Finland's navy is small but highly specialized, built for the shallow waters and rocky islands of the Baltic. Its biggest leap forward is the Squadron 2020 project. 4 new Pohjanmaa-class corvettes. These ships are designed to handle multiple threats at once: air defense, anti-submarine warfare, and surface combat. For Finland, they will be the most capable warships ever built under its flag. But they aren't ready yet. Construction has faced delays, pushing delivery into the latter half of the 2020s. Each year of waiting matters. Until the new corvettes arrive, Finland must rely on its older missile boats and mine layers, backed by coastal defense units. These forces are strong at denying access close to shore, but have less endurance for wider Baltic operations. Once completed, the new ships will close a major gap in Finland's maritime defenses. Until then, the country's naval shield is thinner than its land and air power, another seam in the armor of total defense. Step back, and Finland looks like one of the most prepared nations on Earth, a universal draft that produces nearly 1 million trained soldiers. A civil defense shelter system that can protect most of the population. Emergency stockpiles of fuel, food, and medicine. Clear government guides that tell every citizen what to do if war breaks out. And now, NATO membership, which adds the backing of the world's most powerful alliance. But preparation is not perfection. Missile defenses are strong, but still being built. The Air Force is modernizing but won't reach full strength until the end of the decade. Submarines are absent, seabed infrastructure is hard to protect, and the Åland Islands remain legally constrained. Hospitals have reserves but not unlimited surge capacity. Even daily life, digital payments, GPS navigation, power grids, can be shaken by disruption or attack. None of these weaknesses make Finland fragile. What they show is that no country, however organized, can be 100% ready for the scale of a world war. Finland has built the closest thing to a total defense society in Europe. Its shield is thick, its people determined, and its allies strong. But even the hardest shield has seams, and in a crisis, those seams could matter most.